Hello, this is Storm Warden coming at you today with another video update. Today we're going to be talking about the severe weather risk that will take place today. We have an enhanced risk, which means that we're probably going to be seeing a severe weather outbreak today with an all hazards possible, with tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail being the all the hazards that will take place today. So we're going to talk all about that. This will be one of my longer videos. We're going to really dissect this severe weather setup, and I'm going to actually dissect this in a way that you guys understand so that you guys are staying weather aware and you understand the meteorology behind this as we're learning these things as we go through schooling and all that. But without further ado, guys, let's get right into it. I do want to ask if you've been liking my weather content, please subscribe. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So we have an enhanced risk of severe weather located from about Missouri to the small slither of Nebraska, down into eastern Kansas, down into the parts of northeast Oklahoma. Um, in this area, there is a significant 10% hatched risk of tornadoes, and that hatch risk means that there's a potential for significant tornadoes today. So there could be, tornadoes on a scale that are on the scale of EF2 or greater today. So could certainly see some strong tornadoes. You can see that hatch risk, and anywhere in this hatch risk there could be a significant strong EF2 plus tornado today. And then you have a 5% tornado risk that extends further out, almost down into parts of Texas. And then you got a 2% risk that extends well away from Texas all the way up towards the Great Lakes. So this is a pretty big storm system with a more localized, enhanced area of a higher severe potential today. So we're looking at a pretty nasty severe setup today. Have a 15% chance for large hail, and then for wind we have a 30. I think we have a 30% risk. Is it 30? Or is it? Yeah, we have a 30% risk for damaging winds today. Especially as things go linear, you're going to get a really big wind bag out of this, which could bring winds as high as 70 miles an hour. So looking at a pretty nasty severe weather setup today. So if you're anywhere in these areas, or you know anybody in these areas, please let them know that they need to keep their phones on for really dangerous day today as far as our severe weather risk goes. So we're gonna start by looking at our dew points, because when I like to analyze severe weather events, I like to start off with my dew points. So starting off this morning, right? And so what you want to watch out for is this deeper area of moisture in the mid 60s. This is the area that could potentially get under the higher instability, and you mix that with the stronger low level jet, and you have a recipe for a strong tornado. So we're getting towards our 21Z, which is pretty much max heating, which is close to the 6 o'clock time frame. Notice you got dew points in the mid 60s from the NAM model. It develops, almost 70-degree dew points as far north as eastern Kansas, and kind of getting into parts of Missouri. So, pretty narrow, but pretty decent sized warm sector that we're seeing. And anywhere in this warm sector, there could be some tornadoes, and then that localized area from about eastern Kansas down on that Oklahoma Kansas border could certainly see more enhanced tornado potential, with the possibility of seeing an even stronger tornado on the EF2 plus greater scale. So again, this could be a really dangerous day today. There's a couple of limiting factors that I will talk about towards the end of the video, and of course I'll give you my overall thoughts. But for now, we're just going through the model guidance, and the NAM shows 65-degree plus dew points, which is plenty of low level moisture to get a severe weather event going. Now, a low level jet. We have a low level jet in excess of 40 to 50 knots. This is more than enough of strong low level shear to get a decent tornado event today. So we at the same time we have those dew points nearing 70 degrees. We have a low level jet of about 50 knots located over Kansas and parts of Oklahoma. In this area right up in here, there's an area, and I'll get closer for you guys so that you guys can see the cities and all that. But in this area right up in here, I think has the best chance today of seeing stronger tornadoes, maybe a significant tornado. So There's a couple areas to watch out for, but this being the biggest area to watch out for. There's another area up in here that the SBC is highlighted as well for even for significant hatch tornado risk today. So you can have a significant tornado close to the area of stronger wind shear, because our strongest wind shear is definitely to the north towards Kansas and parts of Missouri. And under this stronger level of jet, if thermals can, which our thermals are instability, our field can get up under this stronger wind shear up in here, would not be surprised to see a stronger tornado this far north. But I honestly think that our best chance of significant tornadoes today will certainly be, maybe from this area and right along that Oklahoma border. This is the area that I'm circling for the highest tornado, strongest tornado potential today, with maybe even seeing a significant tornado in this area. This is the area that I have highlighted that I think will be the highest area for significant tornado potential. So basically, eastern Kansas and along that Oklahoma and Kansas border, I think there could be a significant tornado in there, maybe a couple of significant tornadoes within that area before things turn to more of a damaging wind event as our storms become more of a linear, more of a line of storms, which would bring straight line damaging winds. Now, showed you that. Now let's show you our field. How much instability are we working with today? Well, most models have our instability reaching about 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilogram. Now, the NAM model maximizes things a little bit further west, and it has about 2,000 or 3,000 joules per kilogram worth of CAPE. This is a little bit displaced from our strongest level jet, which is located further further east and north. But anywhere in this sector, there could certainly be a stronger tornado. Clicking the sounding over here towards close to that Kansas-Oklahoma border, that is a favorable holograph for tornadoes right there. You got a lot of curvature in there, pretty kind of elongated as well. So again, pretty favorable holograph that we're seeing. You see a significant hail analog there, but this is generally a favorable sounding for tornadoes right along that Kansas to Oklahoma border. Now, further out in time, instability is about 1,000 joules per kilogram this evening, and that strong low level jet, especially as it increases as we hit nighttime, you're still going to have that tornado potential. But again, I think as things start to really grow upscale, I think our tornado threat our significant tornado threat diminishes, but I still think tornadoes could last a decent amount of time as we have a pretty strong low level jet that should actually help hold things together and maybe keep that tornado threat going. But I think our significant tornado threat, I think there's a pretty short window on that. Again, there's some discrepancy between that, but I think that's a fairly short window for that before things grow upscale. Now, another tool I like to use is the significant tornado parameter. I think this is a really cool parameter. It shows us instability, wind shear. It gives us all, it gives everything that I just showed you in one tool, which is the significant tornado parameter. So we're going through time, and notice our significant tornado parameter is already jumping up by 15Z. Now, this is a NAM model, and then it has things maximizing afternoon right along the Kansas-Oklahoma border. So pretty much the area that I just circled is the area that the NAM model has pretty much maximization. You see, it even gets a little higher as you go into the evening as that little jet starts to increase. This is the area I think the NAM does a good job. This is the area that I'm pretty much highlighting for the highest severity tornado threat today, with the possibility of seeing even a significant stronger tornado. Clicking on sounding within this area, and this is a PDS tornado sounding. So, this just goes to show that our environment is incredibly favorable, especially eastern Kansas. Eastern Kansas is definitely going to be the hot spot for tornadoes today, in my opinion. And again, right along that Oklahoma-Kansas border will also be another hot spot for potential tornadoes today, with significant tornadoes certainly being a possibility. So you can kind of see the area that's being highlighted for the NAM model as the highest area for stronger tornado potential. Now here's the HRRR model, and I know that you guys are probably wanting to see what does the radar simulation look like. So I just took you through the environment, but there's a couple of things we want to look at. But here's the HRRR as far as how do storms look today. We're going to really dissect this. So we're starting out at 13Z, which is right around, if I'm thinking correctly, 8, 9 a.m. this morning. So we're going through time, and you're going to notice you probably already got some showers going on and parts of Kansas. But notice eastern Kansas, Oklahoma, even Missouri. It's fairly dry this morning. And you're probably noticing those very fast moving clouds in the sky from your very strong, fast moving southerly low level jet, which is helping to bring those mid 60 dew points pretty far north. But notice you get towards 20 and 21Z, which is right around 4 or 5 o'clock. You're going to start to get some supercells that develop, particularly in eastern and even southern Kansas along the Oklahoma border. You're going to really start to get some of those supercells to develop, and it'll only intensify as you go later in time. And notice as you get towards the evening hours, notice how things start to congeal a little bit more, and notice how you get a pretty big line of thunderstorms. And within this line, you certainly get spin up tornadoes. However, when this happens, our threat will mainly be a straight line damaging wind threat, which is still very dangerous. It can cause the same damage as a tornado. So, but our tornado threat does start to diminish. But notice how long that line of thunderstorms lasts, and that's because we have a fairly strong low-level jet, and with that cold front coming in, this should help hold this line in together well into Missouri and even in parts of Arkansas. So again, there could be there. That's why that 2% and that 5% risk extend pretty far out, because along this line of thunderstorms, you could certainly get spin up tornadoes, especially right along that strong low-level jet that will only intensify as we go into the dark nighttime hours. So now there's a couple things I want to note here. Notice how when we get these supercells to develop, they're developing fairly close to each other. We've seen this in past time where we have a lot of cells that develop, really close to each other. This could be a limiting factor in our tornado threat. If we get a lot of cells like these that combine and kind of become more like a clustered look, this could certainly limit our significant tornado potential. I still think we see numerous tornado warnings today, but our potential for significant tornadoes could certainly be limited if we continue to see this more clustered look of thunderstorms with probably more of a straight line damaging wind and isolated spin up brief tornadoes. So again, that could be a limiting factor in today's severe weather event. You got these cells that develop fairly close to each other over here in Kansas, and even on the Oklahoma border, you got some cells to develop. And I want you to also note these cells that develop in Oklahoma. Oklahoma, you are not out of the woods. I certainly think down here there's a potential to have a supercell gets in a favorable area. You could certainly see a significant tornado in Oklahoma today. I definitely have the border of Oklahoma and Kansas being hot spot, as well as eastern Kansas. But even down here to central Oklahoma, I would not be surprised to see a significant tornado if a thunderstorm can get under the right favorable atmospheric conditions. But you can see how this quickly grows upscale into a linear line segment, which brings straight line damaging winds over a pretty large area. That's why that slight risk extends pretty far out, as well as our 30% damaging wind risk as things grow upscale. Could get a nasty wind damaging event through eastern Kansas towards Missouri. Now, another tool that I like to use, and I talked about this a little bit, the SIG tornado parameter. Actually, let's look at our shear SRH. So this is another tool I like to look at, and it's an ingredient that tornadoes love. They love SRH, storm relative helicity. So we're going through our day-to-day. Notice as you get that storm relative helicity to really increase as we go into the evening, and as we get those supercells to start to develop. Within this area of higher helicity, low level helicity, you can definitely get some tornadoes, maybe even a significant tornado in that area. Looking at our SIG tornado parameter though, because I really love this product, you can notice how it has that instability really maximizing today right around 23Z. Now, extra bar doesn't go crazy. It has the highest tornado potential down here in Oklahoma, which is not surprising me considering there's a couple of things to note. Notice how you have this very sharp line in the gradient and a significant tornado parameter and then nothing behind it. This is that crashing cold front. And this is another limiting factor. If that front crashes a lot sooner, that also gives supercells a hard time to really get away from the front. Therefore, you have a more clustered linear segment with damaging winds being the main threat and not tornadoes. So that's certainly a possibility. But you can see how that crashing cold front drops down into eastern Kansas and it brings the highest tornado potential into southern Oklahoma. That's what the HRRR shows. Again, you know, a lot of what today is going to be is just forecasting short term and watching how the dew points react, but especially watching the synoptic look. How our front looks, because if our front is moving in a lot quicker than forecasted, that could be a limiting factor to today's tornado potential. So that'll certainly be something to watch. Again, though, looking at everything that I've seen, wouldn't be surprised to see a couple significant tornadoes right along that Oklahoma-Kansas border in eastern Kansas. You can kind of see that extra bars hinting at that, and then it brings the maximization of tornado potential down in southern Oklahoma. Certainly a possibility if you have much quicker cold front, but and here's just another model, the NAM 3KM model, and this came out. Yeah, let's look at 12Z. So looking at 12Z NAM 3KM model, and again, this is just another radar simulation, but this is just a different model. It's a NAM 3KM. Now this model has a linear bias, so it's going to show a big line of thunderstorms, but I just want to give you guys a good idea of what we're looking at. And notice, pretty nasty line of thunderstorms that develops. Again, a little bit of a linear bias. It kind of likes to just throw big clusters and line segments sometimes. But generally speaking, you can see those some of those supercells that develop in Oklahoma and in Kansas, and this will all help to bring us a significant severe weather event today, with damaging winds certainly being the big threat. But again, there's a hatch risk of significant tornadoes from about the Mississippi, Kansas, Missouri, to down into parts of the Oklahoma area border for significant tornadoes, EF2 or greater. Now, here's another model, and I just want to show you this just to give you another idea of what we're looking at. It's called the RAP model, and this is a fairly good model. It does a fairly good job. Sometimes I have a cool bias, but again, this is significant tornado parameter, and again, it's showing the exact same thing. The area that I highlighted for being the highest area for tornado potential today. So, and that in fact, I want to zoom in for you guys so that you can see your town or your city. Here, let me log in here. So we're going to HRRR, and we'll drop down to 12Z. Yeah, so I just want to give you guys a much closer look at today's severe weather threat. So if I had to circle an area today for the highest tornado potential, I would circle the area from about Manhattan to Wichita points east. And to be more specific, let's do this. I'll draw it on your screen here just so that you can see what I mean. So take my writer out here. So this area right up in here, I think has the highest tornado potential right along that Oklahoma-Kansas border down to maybe Polka City. Hopefully I just said that right. Probably didn't. But this area right up in here, right along this narrow area, I think has the best chance of seeing a stronger, maybe more significant tornado. I could have put this further west and put Hutchinson in there, because when these initial supercells develop, that's when I think our highest tornado, even significant tornado risk definitely exists for today. So we're looking at our model, and you can kind of see how those thunderstorms develop in just west of Huntington. And then as you get under that stronger instability, that stronger fuel, and that stronger low-level jet, that's when these storms really take off. You can see they get darker reflectivities, noting that they're strengthening. And then notice how they become a line fairly quickly. So again, that could be a limiting factor. You get a lot of cells like these that develop, yeah, they might have tornado potential with them, but if they're growing upscale fairly quickly, that limits that tornado potential. It also shortens the window for significant tornado potential, and possibly brings it further west towards maybe Huntington and Salina, Kansas. Hopefully I just said that right for you guys over there. But generally speaking, guys, today is going to be a dangerous day. Certainly significant tornado potential there with a pretty favorable environment. The limiting factors could be, a cold front moves in a lot quicker and crashes, which limits how much instability can build. And another limiting factor could be you get too many thunderstorms that form way too close to each other, and that limits significant tornado potential. But factors that could support a stronger threat is you get these supercells that develop much earlier, and you just overall they work themselves into that favorable environment. They don't develop close to each other, and now you have all out significant tornado outbreak. So that's certainly under the realm of possibility, certainly. But this is pretty much all I got, guys. Hopefully you guys understood all that. That may have been a little quick, but again, pretty favorable environment that we're seeing today. Could certainly see significant tornadoes from about Manhattan, Wichita, and along that Kansas to Oklahoma border. And along those areas, I think had the highest potential. But again, going back to the SBC outlook, uh, going back to our significant tornado risk lies into parts of Nebraska, parts of Missouri, through eastern Kansas, through parts of the Oklahoma border. So basically, the area that I circled, I may be a little bit further west with this, but they're the experts at this, so they know exactly what they're talking about. But again, that significant hatch risk means that it could be an EF2 or greater. So guys, please, please, please be weather aware. The environment today definitely doesn't scream major tornado outbreak, but it does scream that there could be a couple significant tornadoes within these areas, especially if you can get a supercell that can really develop and mature into this favorable environment under a low level jet of about 40 to 50 knots with fuel under the order of 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilogram. You can certainly get a stronger tornado up under an environment that characterized by those things. So again, pretty favorable environment today. You see that significant tornado right there, parameter of about 3. So again, if you're in eastern Kansas, I'm going to keep saying eastern Kansas, you guys are probably going to be the hot spot for significant tornadoes today, especially if you can get a mature supercell to really develop and to really mature into the environment. So that's all I got, guys. Be safe today. Stay weather aware.